In a humble, sun-baked village, nestled among rolling hills, a young woman named Zola resided in a modest, earth-walled dwelling with her hard-working parents. Her mother and father, figures of resilience and quiet strength, toiled relentlessly from the crack of dawn, assisting various farm owners with the cyclical demands of planting tender seedlings, harvesting ripened crops, and meticulously maintaining the health of the fields. Their days invariably began before the sun painted the sky with its first light and stretched long into the hazy evenings, yet their earnings remained painfully meager, a stark contrast to the sheer arduousness of their ceaseless labor. Every spare coin, no matter how small, was carefully set aside, a testament to their sacrifice, solely for Zola's education, their hope for her brighter future. Zola, however, deeply disliked their constant, grinding struggle to afford even the most basic necessities, particularly food, which was often simple and scarce. Her attire, though clean, was noticeably worn, patched in places, and her footwear, a pair of simple sandals, was uncomfortably undersized, pinching her feet with every step. At school, a place that should have been a sanctuary of learning, she endured the cruel, thoughtless mockery of some classmates. Observe Zola, everyone. She dons the same faded garments day in and day out. They would jeer, their laughter echoing in her ears. Even within the confines of her own community, certain unkind girls, perhaps driven by their own insecurities, would find opportunities to ridicule her appearance and her family's poverty. Zola experienced a profound and pervasive sadness, a weight that settled heavily on her young shoulders. She yearned with every fiber of her being to escape the suffocating grip of poverty, desiring not just comfort, but the symbols of a different life. New, fashionable garments, gleaming, stylish footwear, and an elegant, spacious home, far removed from their cramped dwelling. I am absolutely determined to become wealthy someday, no matter what it takes, Zola resolved internally, a fierce ambition kindling within her. Gazing wistfully through the small, unglazed window of their home, she would often envision an alternative existence, a life filled with ease and abundance. As Zola matured into a young woman, she became increasingly captivated by the seemingly perfect, glamorous figures she encountered scrolling through her social media feeds. They appeared utterly flawless, with exquisite, professionally styled hairstyles, draped in costly, designer attire, and perpetually adorned with radiant, carefree smiles. I truly aspire to be just like them, to have that kind of life, Zola mused, her longing growing with each passing day. Zola had a companion, a close friend named Aisha. Aisha hailed from a family of moderate means, their circumstances a stark contrast to Zola's impoverished background, yet their friendship, forged in the shared experiences of school, had blossomed. Aisha adored cosmetics, the latest fashionable clothing, and shoes that radiated style and confidence, always presenting a polished, self-assured image to the world. One sun-drenched afternoon, Zola paid a visit to Aisha's comparatively comfortable residence. "Aisha, my dear friend, might I please borrow your beautiful long hairpiece and those striking crimson high-heeled shoes you sported so wonderfully last Friday?" Zola inquired, her voice a mixture of hope and trepidation. Aisha paused, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. Zola, you intend to take more photographs for your online profile once more, don't you?" Aisha observed, a knowing glint in her eyes. Zola offered a bashful, almost sheepish smile. "Please, Aisha, just for a brief period. I will ensure everything is returned to you in perfect condition, I promise." Aisha regarded her friend for a moment, weighing the request. "All right, but do not misplace my favorite hairpiece, and please, be exceptionally careful not to stumble or scuff my shoes. They are quite delicate." Zola chuckled, relieved. "I assure you, I will be as careful as can be," she affirmed with a nod. Zola gratefully accepted the borrowed items and proceeded to transform herself. She skillfully donned the high-heeled shoes, which made her feel taller and more sophisticated, slipped into a stylish pair of figure-hugging jeans, and applied a bold, confident slash of red lipstick. Admiring her reflection in Aisha's full-length mirror, she beamed with satisfaction. "I look just like one of those glamorous online personalities I admire so much," she remarked to herself, a thrill coursing through her. Subsequently, she ventured into the bustling part of the town, strategically positioning herself before impressive, modern residences and a renowned, popular chop bar, places that exuded an aura of success. She captured numerous images, carefully curating each pose. In every photograph, she meticulously projected an air of affluence and effortless chic. Later, she uploaded these carefully crafted pictures to her social media accounts. "People will undoubtedly believe this is my everyday lifestyle," she commented to herself with a quiet, self-satisfied laugh. Later that same evening, Aisha was casually scrolling through her social media feed when Zola's new pictures popped up. Well, Zola is really projecting a sophisticated and affluent image now, isn't she?" she remarked to herself, a complex mixture of amusement, mild envy, and a touch of concern swirling within her. Let's just hope this whole charade doesn't lead her into any serious trouble. One fateful day, a prominent and highly influential man happened to notice Zola's increasingly popular pictures. His name was Chief Emeka Okoro, a man so widely known for his immense wealth that he was often referred to simply as Emeka. He possessed a grand, sprawling residence that was the talk of the town and a fleet of luxurious vehicles, commanding respect and sometimes fear from many. People often whispered that Chief Emeka was, despite his intimidating presence, a benevolent man who frequently assisted others in need, a reputation he carefully cultivated. Zola was overjoyed, almost beyond belief, when she received a direct message from him. "You are exceptionally beautiful and remarkably unique," Chief Emeka wrote, his words like honey. "I believe I can assist you. I can make you wealthy beyond your wildest dreams." Zola leaped with pure, unadulterated elation, her heart pounding in her chest. "This is it. This is my significant opportunity, the chance I've been waiting for," she believed with fervent conviction. Chief Emeka promptly invited Zola to his opulent, palatial house for a meeting. Upon her arrival at the designated address, Zola observed a large, gleaming black car, polished to a mirror shine, parked majestically outside the imposing gates. The house itself was vast, almost like a royal palace from a fairy tale, with intricate carvings and expansive gardens. Zola's eyes widened in sheer amazement. She had never encountered such a magnificent dwelling before in her entire life. "Absolutely incredible," she whispered, her voice filled with a mixture of overwhelming surprise and burgeoning delight. Inside, Chief Emeka was dressed in a striking, pristine white traditional agbada, the rich fabric flowing around him, his gold rings glittering ostentatiously on his fingers as he gestured. He smiled warmly at Zola, a smile that seemed both welcoming and calculating. "Welcome, my dear Zola," he said, his voice deep and resonant. They both took seats in plush armchairs in a lavishly decorated parlor. The man looked at Zola intently, his gaze appraising. "I saw your pictures online, as I mentioned. You are, without a doubt, exceptionally beautiful." He then added, his tone becoming more serious, "If you heed my words carefully and follow my instructions precisely, you will prosper beyond measure." Zola smiled broadly, thrilled and slightly intimidated to be in the company of such a profoundly wealthy and influential individual. She quickly nodded her eager assent and replied, "Yes, sir. I will do whatever you say." He then presented her with a brand new, top-of-the-line smartphone and a surprisingly heavy bag filled with crisp stacks of money. "Use this to purchase beautiful clothes, the finest you can find," he instructed, his eyes twinkling. Zola could hardly believe her extraordinary fortune. She felt like a true woman of perceived luxury, a character from her own aspirational daydreams. "Thank you so very much, sir. You are exceedingly kind and generous," she expressed, her voice brimming with gratitude. Zola hurried back to her humble room with the new phone clutched in one hand and the bag of money in the other, her eyes shining brightly with excitement and disbelief. Her mother saw her enter, her expression immediately one of concern. "Zola, my child, where did you acquire all of this? These expensive things?" she inquired, her brow furrowed. Zola looked down, avoiding her mother's gaze. "A prominent, wealthy man gave them to me. He finds me appealing, Mama." She added, almost defensively, "He said I am beautiful." Her mother's expression changed instantly, alarm bells ringing in her mind. "No, Zola, that is not safe at all. You do not know this man well enough. This is dangerous." Her father entered at that moment, looking weary and dust-covered from his long day's work on the farm. "My daughter, listen to your mother's wise words. Return the money and the phone. It is not from a clean, honest source, I fear." But Zola, fueled by years of resentment and desire, exclaimed defiantly, "No, I absolutely will not. I am tired, so incredibly tired, of being poor. You both work so hard, tirelessly, yet possess so little to show for it. I desire a lavish life, a life of comfort and beauty." Her mother began to weep, her shoulders shaking. "We provided you with everything we had, Zola. We endured untold hardship and sacrificed so much so you could attend school and have a chance. I don't care about that right now," Zola shouted, her frustration boiling over. "I want a new existence, a completely different life." She hastily gathered her few belongings and departed abruptly, slamming the door behind her, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. Her father heard her mother's heartbroken sobs and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Let her go for now," he whispered, his voice heavy with sorrow. "She will return when she understands." That night, her mother cried into her worn headscarf, her grief immense, while her father sat in stoic silence, his lips moving in a quiet, desperate prayer for Zola's safety and eventual return. Zola, meanwhile, sought refuge at Aisha's house. Aisha greeted her with a smile and said, "Wow, Zola, you are truly courageous, leaving like that." But inwardly, Aisha was not entirely pleased. She felt a sharp pang of jealousy for the perceived freedom and the modest, burgeoning fame Zola had acquired so quickly, though she did not voice these complicated feelings, merely offering an encouraging smile. When Zola left her parents' home, they felt an immense, crushing sadness and a profound, gnawing worry. Her mother looked at her father, her eyes filled with a sense of being utterly lost. "What did we do wrong, my husband?" she asked softly, her voice choked with emotion. Her father slowly shook his head, his gaze distant. "I honestly don't know," he replied quietly, his own heart aching. "But I am deeply concerned about her, about the path she is choosing." They both felt overwhelmingly powerless, completely unaware of Zola's precise whereabouts or her current activities. All they knew for certain was that she was upset, had made a rash decision, and had left without a proper word of farewell. They hoped against hope that she would soon return so they could discuss things calmly and resolve their differences, but she did not. Zola took the substantial sum of money Chief Emeka had given her. She used a portion of it to rent a small but modern apartment in the bustling city of Accra and to purchase an array of new, fashionable clothes, shoes, and accessories. She soon had 2 roommates, Funk and Saad, who quickly became her good friends, sharing her excitement and aspirations. Aisha, her stylish and somewhat envious friend from her home village, would visit occasionally, bringing news and a touch of their old life. "I am going to be incredibly famous, you'll see," Zola declared confidently, smiling as she admired her new, expensive attire in the large mirror of their shared living room. Zola felt like royalty, transformed from a village girl into a city socialite. She wore shimmering, eye-catching clothes, took countless glamorous pictures, and posted them meticulously on her social media platforms. People adored her new, sophisticated look, and her follower count grew substantially, validating her choices in her own mind. "I am a star, a true celebrity," she told herself repeatedly, basking in the online adoration. Yet, no matter how much she acquired, more clothes, more likes, more followers, it was never quite sufficient. She craved more followers, more constant attention, and, Most importantly, more money. I need to be absolutely perfect, just like those established social media divas, she confided in Saad, her more grounded roommate, one evening. One day, as she was reveling in her newfound popularity, Chief Enkay sent her another message. Zola, my dear, you look exceptionally beautiful in your recent posts. I wish to propose a unique and rather lucrative challenge to you. If you abstain from bathing, from any form of washing with water, for 1 entire year, I will give you the staggering sum of 50 million sadies. Zola was utterly taken aback, her mind reeling. 1 whole year without bathing? She pondered, the very idea feeling repulsive. But the glittering prospect of 50 million sadies, a life-altering amount of money, made her eyes sparkle with an almost feverish intensity. I will do it, she declared aloud to her empty room, not pausing to consider the potential negative consequences, the health risks, or the sheer degradation involved. She was solely, intensely focused on the unimaginable sum of money. Zola was incredibly excited and immediately agreed to the bizarre challenge. This will undoubtedly make me the wealthiest and most glamorous online personality ever, she thought, her ambition overriding any common sense. She excitedly informed her friends, Funk and Saad, about the wager and the chief's shocking condition. He said if I don't bathe for a whole entire year, not even once, he will give me 50 million sadies. Funk, who was eating, literally dropped her spoon in disbelief. Wait, what did you just say? Saad, are you hearing this? Is she serious? No, it was Zola who said it, Zola corrected, and I am definitely doing it. Saad looked concerned. But Zola, how will you manage the smell? Will you use perfume constantly? Even then, I don't know if I could manage being around that. But I understand, I suppose. I need that money too, in a way. Funk shook her head vehemently. Zola, that is simply not healthy. It's dangerous. Saad added, her voice laced with worry. It sounds incredibly dangerous and suspicious. What if it is some kind of deceitful plan, a trick? But Zola laughed, dismissing their concerns with a wave of her hand. I'll be absolutely fine. You will all see. And then I'll be incredibly rich. The challenge officially commenced, and Zola dutifully stopped bathing. Initially, she managed by dousing herself in copious amounts of strong perfume to mask the emerging odor, but soon, as days turned into weeks, it became increasingly difficult to conceal the growing unpleasantness. Her skin started feeling persistently itchy, and a faint but noticeable smell began to cling to her. Unbeknownst to Zola, the chief, ever meticulous and suspicious, had secretly installed a tiny, almost invisible camera in her apartment to monitor her activities, ensuring she was strictly adhering to the no-bathing condition. Her friends, Funk and Saad, assisted her at first, sympathetically spraying air fresheners throughout the house and trying to be supportive, but after several long months, the situation became truly unbearable. One evening, Funk, her face etched with regret, packed her belongings. I'm so sorry, Zola, she said, her voice gentle. I truly care about you as a friend, but I simply cannot live like this any longer. The smell is overwhelming. Saad, more resilient or perhaps more desperate for a share of the potential winnings by association, stayed on for a while longer, bringing Zola food, attempting to clean up around her, and checking on her daily. However, after a grueling 7 months, even the loyal Saad could no longer endure the oppressive atmosphere. Hey Zola, she began hesitantly one day, I really don't want to leave you like this, but this is just too hard for me to handle. The smell. Zola, you need help. I'm okay, really, I'm fine, Zola insisted, though her appearance belied her words. I'm almost there. Just a few more months. Saad cried as she too gathered her things and departed, the friendship strained to its breaking point. Please, Zola, be careful, Saad urged, her voice thick with emotion, before leaving their shared apartment. I will keep going. That glorious 50 million sadies is waiting for me, Zola told herself, trying to bolster her flagging spirits. Zola felt a pang of sadness and loneliness at her friend's departure, but was resolutely determined not to give up, not when she was so close. She remained fiercely determined to win the 50 million sadies. I can handle this. I'm stronger than they think, she thought, defiantly looking at her increasingly disheveled reflection. Humph, I don't need them anyway. I'll do it all by myself, Zola whispered, a touch of bitterness in her tone. Back in her distant village, her parents were utterly disconsolate. They missed Zola terribly and were consumed by a deep, unrelenting worry for her well-being, having no idea of the bizarre ordeal she was putting herself through. After many weeks of not bathing, Zola's body began to react severely. Her skin itched intensely, developing raw, red patches, and her once lustrous hair started to become brittle and break. The pervasive, unpleasant smell was now impossible to ignore or conceal. People online, her once adoring followers, began to notice the drastic change in her appearance. What is terribly wrong with this girl? She used to be so very attractive and put together. Look at her now. She seems unwell. Some individuals, emboldened by anonymity, made cruel fun of her. She smells really, really bad, even through the screen, they would whisper in comment sections. Zola's social media followers began to dwindle rapidly. They no longer found her appealing or aspirational. Some left incredibly cruel and heartless comments. She looks so utterly disgusting now. Someone even wrote, with cutting finality, she isn't perfect anymore. Aisha, Zola's supposed best friend from her home village, far from offering support, started insidiously spreading malicious rumors about Zola in her former school and community, perhaps relishing Zola's downfall. One day, Aisha came to visit Zola in Accra, ostensibly to offer support. She acted cordially, smiled often, and even brought some snacks. But deep down, she was consumed by a potent cocktail of jealousy and schadenfreude. Zola's name was, paradoxically, on everyone's lips. People were constantly discussing her online, fascinated and horrified by her current state, even though she hadn't bathed in many months. While they were chatting, Aisha surreptitiously saw Zola standing by the wall, scratching her backside intensely and uncomfortably due to the persistent itch. Zola was completely unaware that Aisha was observing her at that moment. Aisha, with a sly quickness, snapped a photo with her phone, carefully concealing the action. Later that night, with a sense of malicious triumph, Aisha posted the unflattering photo online with a mocking, cruel caption, "Behold your beloved social media sensation, scratching herself like a faulty, broken-down machine." Hashtag no bathing challenge fail. People in the comments section laughed heartily, finding great amusement in Zola's humiliation. This one has truly lost her way completely. When Zola saw the post, her heart shattered into a million pieces. She visited me, pretended to be my friend, just to ridicule me publicly, she said softly, tears welling in her eyes. Why would Aisha, my oldest friend, do this to me? Zola was deeply, profoundly hurt. Her carefully constructed life began to unravel at an alarming pace. The pictures of her clearly not bathing, combined with Aisha's post, went viral for all the wrong reasons. People made relentless fun of her. She smells so incredibly bad. Why would anyone ever want to be like her? They commented, their words like daggers. Zola, however, driven by a desperate, stubborn pride and the looming prize, did not want to stop the challenge. She continued to post pictures, attempting, rather pathetically, to show the world that she was still beautiful, still glamorous, even without bathing. She wore impeccable makeup, a mask over her true condition, and forced a bright smile in every picture. Zola was sitting listlessly in her room, staring blankly at her phone. She had just received a new message from Chief Emeka. It read, "You are still beautiful, Zola, despite everything. Keep going, persevere, and you will soon have everything you desire." She managed a weak smile, feeling a flicker of her former good feelings about herself. She thought, this is it. This is my chance to finally be rich, truly rich. But suddenly, her phone rang, an unfamiliar, unknown number flashing on the screen. Zola felt a little confused but decided to answer it, a sense of unease creeping in. "Hello," she said, her voice trembling slightly, raspy from disuse. A soft, hesitant voice spoke on the other end. "Zola, please, you must listen to me. Chief Enkay is exploiting you, taking advantage of your desperation. He's not helping you at all. He's using you for something truly malevolent, something evil." "Who are you? Why are you saying these things?" Zola asked, her confusion mounting. "My name is Nia. I was in this terrible challenge too, before you. I did not succeed. I couldn't complete it. I am very, very sick now because of him. Please, I beg you, don't end up like me." Zola felt even more confused and a little scared. "Who is this really? Why are you telling me all this?" she inquired, suspicion lacing her tone. The voice on the phone sounded urgent and desperate. "Please, Zola. He is dangerous, truly dangerous. I was in the challenge too, just like you. He completely ruined my life. Don't let the same thing happen to you. You will regret it for the rest of your days, I promise you." But Zola, blinded by the proximity of the prize money, did not believe the voice. She wanted the money too badly. She wanted to be rich and famous, to prove everyone wrong. "I don't believe you," she said dismissively and abruptly hung up the phone. "I will be fine. I will get the money, and then everything will be perfectly okay." She felt a renewed surge of excitement and quickly dismissed the ominous warning as the ramblings of a jealous or unstable person. The very next day, Zola was walking through a bustling, crowded street, heading to a popular roadside food stall she frequented, her stomach rumbling with hunger. She was hungry and also incredibly excited about meeting Chief Enkay very soon to collect her winnings. As she stood patiently by the food stall, waiting for her meal to be prepared, something entirely unexpected and seemingly innocuous occurred. Another market woman, an older, busy lady, was vigorously cleaning her stand nearby when she accidentally and quite carelessly splashed a bucket of soapy water all over Zola. Zola noticed what was happening just as the water hit her. "Hey, why are you so careless? Watch where you're throwing that," she shouted, annoyed, but the vendor, engrossed in her task and the general noise of the market, did not hear her. The water, dirty from cleaning, spilled all over her clothes, soaking through to her unwashed skin. Zola felt a surge of irritation but decided to ignore it, her mind focused on the impending payday. "It is just a little water," she thought, shrugging it off. "It does not really matter in the grand scheme of things." But what she did not know, could not possibly know, was that the accidental splash of water had just ruined something absolutely crucial to Chief Enkay's plans. She took her food, paid the vendor without further comment, and left, her thoughts still consumed by the millions she would soon receive. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of waiting, enduring, and suffering, the designated day arrived. Zola stood nervously outside the grand, imposing mansion of Chief Enkay Okoro, her heart racing with a potent mixture of excitement and trepidation. Today, at long last, she would receive her 50 million sades. She could already vividly imagine how her life would be irrevocably transformed. She would buy a magnificent new house, fill her wardrobe with new, luxurious clothes, and live the glamorous, carefree life she had always dreamed of, the life she felt she deserved. As she tentatively entered the mansion, stepping onto cool marble floors, Chief Enkay greeted her with a broad, seemingly benevolent smile. "You look absolutely amazing, Zola, my dear," he said, his voice smooth as he took her hand and shook it firmly. "You have done exceptionally well. You actually did it. You have successfully completed the challenge," he declared, handing her a large, thick envelope, heavy with its contents. Zola's eyes sparkled with triumph as she took the envelope, her hands shaking perceptibly, her heart pounding against her ribs like a drum. She could not quite believe it. She finally had the money, the life-changing sum, securely in her hands. She smiled radiantly and thanked him profusely, thinking she had won, that her ordeal was over and her dreams were about to come true. She clutched the money tightly, a tangible manifestation of a dream finally, painstakingly, realized. As Zola left the opulent mansion, she could not stop smiling, a wide, joyous grin stretching across her face. I did it. I am finally rich. I am truly, finally going to live the wonderful life I've always wanted, she thought to herself, almost giddy with relief and anticipation. But little did she know, her real troubles, far graver than any she had yet endured, were only just beginning. After she departed, her silhouette receding down the long driveway, Chief Enkay walked with a purposeful stride to the secluded, dimly lit dwelling of a renowned traditional diviner. It was deep into the night, the air thick with unspoken omens. He was ready, he believed, to complete the final, crucial part of his dark ritual, the part that would solidify his gains. The diviner, an ancient woman with eyes that seemed to see beyond the veil, had consistently helped him gain more money, more power, and more wealth through esoteric means. But something was clearly amiss today. The diviner looked at him not with the usual knowing deference, but with a worried, almost fearful expression. The diviner did not smile. Her eyes were wide with alarm, and she remained ominously silent for a long moment. "The ritual is not finished correctly," the diviner finally said, her voice a dry rasp, shaking her head slowly. "Something went terribly wrong. Someone or something has spoiled the ritual." "What do you mean, spoiled it?" Chief Enkay retorted, his brow furrowing in disbelief and anger. No, that's impossible. I followed every single instruction to the letter. I watched her myself through the camera. I made absolutely sure she did not bathe, not even once." The diviner looked at him carefully, her gaze unwavering. "The water, the accidental water, it has ruined everything. She was splashed with water, was she not? The spirits, they have rejected the offering. It is no longer pure, no longer potent." Chief Enkay stumbled back slightly, as if physically struck by her words, his face paling. "What? How could this possibly happen?" he shouted, his voice cracking, a volatile mixture of anger and escalating fear gripping him. "A life must now be taken to restore the balance, to appease the angered spirits, and that life, Chief Enkay, is yours. You will lose your mind. You will talk to yourself senselessly. You will walk aimlessly in the streets with no shoes, a madman. People will laugh at your demise. Then, and only then, will they finally take your soul." Chief Enkay panicked, his thoughts immediately racing to Zola. "She must pay for this. She broke the sacred rule," he cried, desperate to deflect the blame. "She survived the ordeal. Her essence, her vitality, is no longer yours to claim," the diviner stated with chilling finality. "Please, I beg you, wise one. I am rich. I can fix this. I can offer more," he pleaded, his arrogance crumbling. "No amount of money can stop it now. No earthly gift can change what has been set in motion. The girl, Zola, is free. You, Chief Enkay, are not," the diviner responded, her voice devoid of pity. No, this cannot be," the chief screamed as hot. Desperate tears rolled down his face, a man broken by his own dark machinations. Back at her small apartment, Zola was still holding the envelope containing the 50 million sadies, the paper cool against her skin. She could not quite believe she had actually done it, endured it all. She quickly ran to the bathroom, overwhelmingly excited to finally wash away all the accumulated filth and grime from her body. She turned on the water, and as the warm, cleansing water poured over her, she felt an immense, profound sense of relief. But as she lathered and scrubbed, something felt wrong. After she finished bathing, toweling herself dry, Zola smelled herself and frowned deeply. The pervasive, offensive odor was still there, clinging to her like a second skin. She was clean, technically, but she still smelled undeniably, terribly bad. She looked at her skin more closely, and the angry red rashes on it became glaringly obvious, no longer masked by dirt. She suddenly felt overwhelmingly dizzy, and her entire body ached with a strange, deep-seated pain. Zola sat down heavily on the edge of the bathtub, holding her stomach, a knot of fear tightening within her. She thought, trying to reassure herself, "It is just the after effects of the challenge. I've been through a lot, a tremendous ordeal. But now I'm rich. I will be fine. I have to be. But deep down, in a place she didn't want to acknowledge, she knew something was seriously, fundamentally not right. Later that evening, Zola's condition worsened dramatically. She felt incredibly weak and profoundly sick. Her stomach hurt with sharp, cramping pains, and her body felt strange, alien. She could not stop sweating profusely, and her skin started to itch with an even greater, maddening intensity. Her alarmed neighbors, hearing her cries of distress, rushed her to the nearest hospital. The doctors examined her thoroughly, their faces turning increasingly serious as they conferred. She has a severe systemic infection, one doctor finally said, his tone grave. It is very bad, very advanced. She has clearly been living with it untreated for far too long. We can give her strong medication for the infection itself, but unfortunately, she will likely have to live with the chronic body odor. Some damage is irreversible. Zola's heart sank like a stone. I should have listened. I should have stopped when Nia called, she thought, consumed by regret. But it was far too late now. The consequences were already upon her. Zola was eventually discharged and returned back home to her small, lonely apartment. She sat dejectedly on her small, uncomfortable bed. She touched her skin. It felt raw and sensitive. She smelled truly awful, an exceptionally bad, lingering odor that no amount of soap or perfume could seem to touch. But the doctor had said she was okay medically, at least in the immediate sense. She was not actively sick anymore in terms of the acute infection. She picked up her new, expensive phone and stared at it for a long, contemplative time. Then, with shaky, hesitant hands, she dialed her mother's familiar number. It rang once, twice, each ring echoing in the silent room. Then a voice, "Hello." Her mother's voice came through, sounding tired but gentle, instantly recognizable. Zola could not speak. Her lips moved, forming silent words, but no sound came out. "Zola, my child, is that you?" Tears, hot and stinging, rolled down Zola's cheeks. She dropped the phone to her chest, her shoulders shaking with quiet, racking sobs. "Mommy," she finally whispered, her voice barely audible, thick with unshed tears. "I am so sorry. I am very, truly sorry for everything. Zola, my daughter, are you okay? Where are you now?" her mother asked, her voice suddenly laced with urgent concern. I want to come home," she said between hiccuping tears. "Please, Mama, I need you. I can't do this alone anymore. I've made a terrible mistake." Her mother was already crying softly on the other end of the line. "Send me the address, my love. We are coming to get you right away." Zola managed to text the address through her tears and then curled up on the bed, crying uncontrollably until she finally fell into an exhausted, troubled sleep. Hours later, a gentle but firm knock sounded on the door. She opened it slowly, her heart pounding, and there they were, her parents. Her mother covered her mouth in profound shock, her eyes wide with disbelief. Her father simply stared, momentarily frozen, his face a mask of pain and concern. "Zola," her mother finally said, her voice trembling as she stepped hesitantly into the small, sparse room. "My baby, what have they done to you?" Zola looked so drastically different, painfully thin, her skin unnaturally pale and blotchy, with visible patches of irritation, her eyes dull and tired. The smell, though they tried to hide their reaction, hit them immediately, but they did not say a single word about it. Her father swallowed hard, his Adam's apple bobbing. "What happened to you, Zola? Tell us." She fell into her mother's welcoming arms, crying like a small, lost child, all her bravado gone. "I messed up so badly, Mama. I thought I was doing the right thing, the smart thing. I just wanted to make you proud. I wanted to be rich so badly. I didn't know it would end like this, I swear I didn't." Her mother held her tightly, rocking her gently, tears rolling down her own weathered face. Shoo, it's okay now, my child. You are alive. That is what truly matters above all else." Her father looked away for a moment, trying and failing not to cry. You should have told us, Zola. No matter what you did, no matter the trouble, we would never, ever stop loving you. They all sat down together on the small, narrow bed, a fragile family unit reunited in sorrow. Her parents looked around the bare, impersonal room. It was quiet, stark, and achingly lonely. We will take you home, back to the village, her father said softly, his voice firm with decision. I am so tired, Zola said, her voice a mere whisper. I just want some peace, some quiet. You will get it, my dear, her mother said soothingly. We will help you heal, in body and in spirit. Zola nodded, wiping her tear-streaked face with the back of her hand. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, she felt a flicker of safety, a sense of belonging. The next morning, with her parents' gentle help, she packed her few remaining things. The envelope of money Chief Enkay had given her was still there, untouched since she'd received it, neatly wrapped inside her bag, but it felt incredibly heavy now, not just in physical weight, but with the crushing weight of shame and regret. Her parents did not ask about it, not yet. They only focused on getting her home safely, away from the city and its painful memories. They took the first available bus back to their village. On the long, bumpy journey, Zola stared out the dusty window. People were laughing, vendors were selling their wares, children were playing, ordinary people living normal, everyday lives. She sat quietly, holding her bag tightly on her lap, lost in thought. At the village, as they alighted from the bus, neighbors began to gather. Their curiosity piqued. Look, is that Zola? She looks so different though. She's finally back home. Her mother quickly led her inside their familiar, humble dwelling. Don't mind them, my child, she said softly. Let them talk if they must. Zola lay down on her old, familiar bed. Everything was just as she had left it. The faded, hand-stitched curtains, the slightly rough but comforting mattress, the small, ticking clock on the wall. But she knew, with a certainty that ached, that she was not the same girl who had left. Later that week, after settling back in, she hesitantly gave some of the money to her parents. Take it, she said, her voice quiet but firm. Fix the leaking roof, repaint the house. Maybe start that small food stall you always talked about, Mama. Her father looked at her intently, searching her eyes. Are you absolutely sure, Zola? I am sure, Dad. This money, it means nothing good to me now. They used part of it, cautiously at first, to repair the long leaking roof, to give the house a fresh coat of paint, and to help her mother start a small, promising food stall by the roadside. Zola closed her eyes, the future stretching before her. Uncertain and daunting. What will happen to me now? She wondered silently. Meanwhile, on the main road leading into the nearby town, people were shouting, pointing, their voices filled with a mixture of shock and derision. Look over there. It is Chief Enkay running like a madman. His expensive clothes were dirty and torn. His usually immaculate hair was messy and unkempt. He was talking animatedly to himself, his words disjointed and nonsensical. I am rich. I am still powerful, he shouted, but his eyes were wide with a crazed, vacant look. People looked at him with a mixture of fear and pity. See the prominent man, the great chief.
See him now.
He has truly lost everything, even his senses. Chief Enkay eventually collapsed onto the dusty floor by the roadside. He picked up handfuls of sand and threw it wildly in the air. I am still the boss around here, he declared to no one in particular. The once great and feared Chief Enkay Okoro was now nothing more than a raving madman on the street, a spectacle for all to see. Zola was in her small room, trying to find some solace, when her phone rang. It was Nia, the same person who had called her weeks ago to warn her about Chief Enkay's true nature, the warning Zola had arrogantly dismissed. Zola, you must tell the world the truth about him, Nia said, her voice noticeably weak, fragile. What truth are you talking about? Zola asked, a knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. He used me, Zola. He used other girls too, many of them. He is truly evil, a monster, Nia said, her words punctuated by shallow coughs. Zola's heart began to beat fast, a sense of dread washing over her. "What do you mean, he used you?" "I am so sick, Zola, incredibly, terribly sick. He did this to me, to my body," Nia said, her voice fading. "Promise me, Zola. Tell the world what he does." Zola felt a wave of fear, cold and sharp. I promise, Nia," she said, her own voice trembling. The lines suddenly went dead. Everything was eerily silent. Zola held her phone tightly, her knuckles white. She had to do something, she knew it. She wanted to call Nia back immediately, to make sure she was okay. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably. She was very, very scared. What if something truly bad has happened to her? She thought, her mind racing. What if what happened to Nia will eventually happen to me too, despite the money? She redialed Nia's number. Someone else picked up, but it was definitely not Nia's voice. "Who is this? Is Nia there?" Zola asked, her voice laced with urgency. "I am Nia's sister," the voice said, choked with uncontrollable sobs. Nia is gone." Zola's hand shook so violently the phone nearly slipped from her grasp. "Gone? What do you mean, gone?" "She just died a few minutes ago. She was so very sick for so long," Nia's sister said, her grief palpable through the phone. Zola's heart broke, shattering into a million pieces. Tears streamed down her face, hot and unstoppable. No, this can't be happening. Nia was gone. Chief Emeka Okoro had not just ruined her life. He had ended it. Zola wiped her tears with a determined hand. She picked up her phone again, opened the camera application, and pressed the record button. "Hello, everyone. My name is Zola. I have something very important to say." She took a deep breath and continued, her voice surprisingly steady. "This is about Chief Emeka Okoro. Many of you know him as a rich man, a generous philanthropist, someone who supposedly helps young, ambitious girls get ahead in life." She shook her head gently, a sad wisdom in her eyes. "But that is not the full truth, not even close." Zola looked straight into the camera lens, her gaze unflinching. "He finds girls, young girls, often desperate girls, ambitious girls, and he offers them enticing gifts, large sums of money, new phones, nice apartments. But what he really wants, what he truly takes, is something else entirely." Her voice did not crack. It was calm, controlled, imbued with a sorrowful authority. He uses those girls in his secret, dark rituals. The more they suffer, the more they are humiliated, the more powerful he believes he becomes. It is not just about blood or some dramatic sacrifice. It is about the slow, insidious degradation, the humiliation. He makes you do things that break your spirit, little by little, piece by piece. And when he's finally taken what he needs from you, you are left with absolutely nothing but shame and sickness. She paused again, her eyes looking tired but resolute. "There are others like me, many other girls who thought it was just a strange bet or just a harmless challenge. But it wasn't. It was always part of something dark, something evil. One of those girls, she called me. Her name was Nia. She told me her body was shutting down, deteriorating rapidly. She was losing weight so fast. The doctors, they could not find what was specifically wrong with her." Zola swallowed hard and looked away for a brief second, collecting herself, then back to the unwavering lens. "She passed away just a short while ago." She took another deep, steadying breath. "I am not here today to make excuses for my own choices or to talk too much about myself and what I went through. I am saying this now so that people will finally know the unvarnished truth, so that other young girls can be warned, so that this predatory evil stops before it happens to someone else." She finished recording and, with a decisive tap, posted the video. She waited, her heart pounding. Then ding, ding, ding. Zola's phone would not stop ringing, buzzing with notifications. Her video was suddenly everywhere. People were sharing it frantically, talking about it, commenting in disbelief and outrage. "Wait, what? I always suspected something was not quite right with that man. This is incredibly deep and disturbing. Thank you for your bravery in speaking up, Zola." It didn't take long before major news stations picked up the story and began discussing it. Prominent bloggers posted it, amplifying its reach. Everyone who saw it was shocked, horrified by the revelations. The story was spreading like wildfire, everywhere, within mere hours. Late that night, Zola was numbly scrolling through her social media feed, watching the reactions pour in, when a message came through from an old acquaintance. "Zola, have you seen the news about Chief Enkay? He's completely gone mad, stark raving mad." Her heart skipped a beat.
Mel.
She clicked the link provided. A shaky, amateur video played on her screen. Chief Enkay was indeed on the street, a public spectacle. His once fine, expensive suit was torn and filthy. His shoes were gone. He had no shirt on, his chest bare and exposed. His hair was wild and rough, and he was shouting incoherently, "I am rich. I am all-powerful. Give me my money back." People, a mixture of former admirers and detractors, threw stones and insults at him. "Liar! Wicked, evil man," they shouted, their voices filled with contempt. Zola's eyes widened in disbelief. Is this real? Can this truly be happening? Zola gasped, stepping back from her phone as if it had burned her. The great, untouchable Chief Enkay was gone, reduced to this pathetic state. He has lost absolutely everything. Just like that, she whispered, a chill running down her spine. People far and wide talked about Zola's story, her confession, and Chief Enkay's dramatic downfall. "Money is clearly not everything," they said, shaking their heads in sober reflection. "Fame, especially the online kind, is not everything either," others added thoughtfully. Mothers gathered their daughters close, warning them sternly, "Don't ever chase money the wrong way. It will always lead to ruin." Fathers shook their heads, their faces grim. "This world is indeed a dangerous and deceptive place," they commented amongst themselves. Even some of the glamorous online personalities, the very ones Zola had once idolized, spoke out, saying, "We all need to be more careful, more discerning about the opportunities presented to us." Zola looked at herself in the small, cracked mirror in her room. She still smelled very bad, a constant reminder of her ordeal. She still had scars on her skin, physical remnants of her suffering, but she was, in a profound and liberating way, finally free. Aisha watched Zola's confession video, tears streaming down her face, a mixture of guilt and dawning understanding in her eyes. "I messed up so badly. She was my friend, my good friend, and then I turned on her out of petty jealousy." She immediately sent Zola a heartfelt message. "Zola, I am so very, truly sorry for what I did. Please forgive me." Funk and Saad, hearing the news, came to visit Zola in the village. They brought fresh fruits and sat with her, offering comfort and solidarity. "You are still strong, Zola, stronger than you know," Saad said, her voice sincere. "You are not alone in this, remember that," Funk added, squeezing her hand gently. Zola managed a small, tentative smile, the first genuine one in a long time. "I have learned my lesson, a very hard and painful one, and I truly hope the world learns something from my story too."